So today we're going to talk about Social Security and Medicare. The main thing being Social Security. However, in order to address the question regarding Social Security and whether or not it will be insolvent in the next 10 years or so, we need to also address what is going to happen as far as Medicare. So let's address that first. Now, whether this plan that President Biden has, whether this works or not, that's really up in the air, and we're going to somewhat discuss that today. But the big thing that we need to talk about is, what is this going to do for the federal budget? Okay, here's the reason why I bring this up. Right now, we've seen reports from the White House, and President Biden released a statement today as well, talking about how he does plan on increasing revenue through for Medicare by raising taxes. And I will address what taxes he's going to increase in just a minute. But what we do know is that President Biden promised tax increases. We knew that. We were going to see it. However, the issue that we're facing now is these tax increases are the money, the revenue is going to go towards Medicare. Now, I bring this up because if we see something go to Medicare, chances are we're going to see something very similar go to Social Security. Remember, Medicare, according to reports or according to the CBO, they will become insolvent within the next, I believe, 2 to 3 years. And then Social Security will become insolvent within the next 10 years. Now, here's what you need to keep in mind. If President Biden and Democrats take a tax and they put it onto, let's say, earned income, that tax is then added to whatever the current tax is right now, right? Makes sense. But here's the issue, and this is why this is such a fine line Democrats are walking, is because one of the proposals, or one of the ideas in President Biden's proposal, is to raise the Medicare tax rate from 3.8% to 5%. Now, that would mean, and again, this is on earned income and unearned income for people making over $400,000 per year. The reason why this is a big deal, and the reason why you have to understand what is going to Medicare versus what is going to go to Social Security, is simply because if we raise taxes on people that are making over $400,000 per year, okay, and we raise it 1.2%, that's just for Medicare. Then what are we going to do for Social Security? We need to raise it there too. Well, here's the issue. There's a massive shortfall for Social Security and Medicare. It's more than just, a few $billion. It's tens of or hundreds of billions of dollars that we are actually in the hole. So because of this 1.2% increase that is supposed to bring in $117 billion over the next 10 years, this is only going to do a little bit. We're still going to be in a shortfall here. So this is just part of the issue. But again, if we do something for Medicare, we need to do something very similar to Social Security, because Social Security is the big one. It's the big one. Now, even though this is 10 years out, this is still the big one. And lawmakers have been saying that 2023 is the year of Social Security. But again, we will see. Now, what is in this proposal? First off, we are going to get the full outline on Thursday. So make sure you do two things. First off, go ahead, hit that like button on this video, and also click that subscribe button so that you will be updated when I talk about the actual outline. But here's what we know as of right now, and this is in order to keep Medicare solvent for the next, 27 years. So, first off, who is not going to pay more money? Anybody that makes less than $400,000 per year will not see a penny more in additional taxes. That's according to President Biden and the White House. However, who will pay more? Well, there's something called a billionaire's tax. We don't know all the specifics regarding this billionaire's tax, but chances are it's going to be very similar or the exact same as what was proposed last year, and that was for a 20% minimum income tax for multimillionaires and billionaires. Again, that's going to bring in additional revenue. However, and we still haven't heard all the details here, but as of right now, there's money coming in for revenue, but as far as any spending decreases, we don't know what that's going to be yet. But we will have the updates on that and the news there in the next couple of days. And again, the Medicare tax rate. We're going to see this go for anybody that's making over $400,000 per year in earned and unearned income. You can combine these. You will go from a 3.8% tax rate to a 5% tax rate. Again, according to the White House, this is going to bring in about $117 billion over the next 10 years. But again, I'm pretty sure this is still a very substantial shortfall. Now, here's the next one. Corporate stock buybacks. President Biden wants to raise the tax on corporate stock buybacks. Now, and he said this before, he wants to actually quadruple this. He actually said this during the State of the Union address last month. So that's going to be a big one as well. But this is why I question this, okay? This is why this is such a, I think this is so important to understand what's going on here with Medicare. So like I said, Social Security is the big one. That's the big talking point. But again, it's still 10 years away from becoming insolvent. So right now, if Democrats can kind of put together a plan to solve the issue regarding Medicare, then they should be able to craft something very similar. But if that gets sent over to Republicans and they say, yeah, we're not going to pass that, we're not voting on that one, or some Democrats say, yeah, I can't vote on that either, well, that pretty much puts us in a standstill. We're struggling to get this negotiation even started. And this is where it's, I'm afraid to say, but we might not get something done in 2023. I hope that's not the case because we need to, but there's still a chance. Now, experts are saying that increasing revenue without cutting spending is just driving the car off of a different cliff. So that's not really going to solve the problem. But here's what lawmakers are questioning, and they're questioning President Biden's intent because they say increasing revenue is one thing, but what about cutting spending? We don't hear a lot of discussions there. And one of the big things that Republicans do want to cut, or at least claw back the money, for one is pandemic-related spending that states still have. The second one is the IRS funding. Because I talked about this last week. The IRS is on track to meet expectations, do better than we've done in the past 3 years. But they've only spent $1 billion out of 80. That means there's still $70+ billion sitting there that we could pull back and redistribute to other places. Now, here's what I can tell you. Democrats have proposed raising the Social Security tax cap for income over $400,000 per year. But the issue here is if President Biden is already proposing raising the tax rate on earned and unearned income over $400,000 to send that revenue to Medicare, this is going to be a hard sell for some Democrats. Because, right, and here's what you need to keep in mind, that right now Republicans hold the majority in the House. Democrats hold a slim majority in the Senate. Okay? They have a, 51 to 49? It's a very slim majority. So because of that fact right there, there's a very good chance that this proposal that we are talking about right now doesn't ever pass. Okay? There's a good chance it doesn't even pass the Senate, let alone the House. So President Biden coming out and saying that, yeah, we're going to raise taxes. Well, that's a good plan, but chances are it's not actually going to go through. Now, why am I even talking about this? Is this a big waste of time to talk about something that's not going to go through? The answer is no. I do think there's some there's ideas here that we can actually pull from. We can actually start to put a plan together. But again, you have to know both sides. In negotiation, you don't want to be the first one to come out and submit your offer. Okay? You never want to be the first one to submit your offer. You want to see where the other side is at first. Then you take their offer, their plan, and then you figure out where you stand. Because if that is where they're at, and usually they lean one way, and you're clear over here, you want to find that middle ground. But by President Biden already coming out and proposing his budget, Republicans are going to wait to see what that looks like. And if that's the starting point for Democrats, they know they can go all the way to the other side. So it'll be interesting to see what this looks like. But again, as I said before, make sure you do two things. Hit that like button on this video and also click that subscribe button so that as soon as we get more information on this outline, I promise I will bring you the latest news. But again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing. I'll see you guys on the next one.